New question from one of our listeners. It is, who gets the credit card points if I am going to get a divorce? To answer that question, we very simply go to Florida statutory law. Florida statute 61.075. Equitable distribution of marital assets and liabilities. You have heard me mention this before. Equitable does not mean equal. However, it does start with the presumption that things should be equal, unless there is justification for unequal distribution based on a number of factors. Those factors are contributions to the marriage by each spouse, including education of the children and care of the children. The parties' economic circumstances. Are you currently rolling in it? Are you currently destitute? The length of your marriage. Interruption of personal careers or education so that you can help your spouse advance their career. Contributions to the other party's career in a number of other ways. Whether or not you are interested in retaining a business, if you have a business and you have self-sufficiency. Contributions of the spouses to the improvements of the other party's property, marital home, depletion and waste, and any other factors necessary to do equity and justice between the parties. So here we go. Suppose that in your marriage, you and your spouse have been waiting to go on a dream vacation. A first honeymoon if you never had one, a second honeymoon. Maybe you've been meaning to go to Europe, go on a cruise, visit China, Japan, the Philippines. Maybe you want to travel in South America. Maybe it's a Canadian vacation where you're going to go freeze your arse off and go to all of the major cities. That could be wonderful and beautiful as well. I've personally always wanted to go on an Alaskan cruise, but now that we have young kids, that seems unlikely in the near future. And by the time I choose to go and my wife is willing to go with me, we're probably not going to want to go anymore because we're not going to want to freeze. Nevertheless, this is a serious question because a lot of folks have saved up hundreds of thousands of credit card points, which may translate into hundreds of dollars or a couple $1,000s or something like that. But if we start with a presumption that everything is equal, then shouldn't those credit card points get equally divided? Well, there's a problem with that inherently. Not just that it's your credit card, her credit card, his credit card. That's not really the problem. The problem is you can't always, or really with any credit card that I'm aware of, transfer those points to the other party unless the credit card company allows it, and credit card companies are not wont to get involved in divorce cases or any family law matter. That is not what they do. That is not in their purview. Alternatively, what might happen is you would say to the court or say to the other party, okay, fine. If this is to be part of equitable distribution, well, here's how I am prepared to divide and split. But we also know that with most credit cards, travel maybe notwithstanding, that with most credit cards, when you pay for something such as a gift card or an Amazon purchase, or if you pay a bill with those credit card points, it is not really dollar for dollar. It is not necessarily 100 points equals $1. It may be 100 points equals 90 cents, for example. And this is part of the issue there is how do you value those things? But that's a conversation for another day. That's too nitty-gritty. What we need to know and what we want to know is suppose I have 100,000 credit card points, i.e. $1,000, and I'm getting a divorce. I'm Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Joe Schmo, and I'm getting a divorce. What happens? Do I automatically transfer 50,000 points to my spouse? And how in the world can I do that? And if there's no way to do that, and it's not like I'm going to get a qualified domestic relations order. This is not retirement. It's not a 401k rollover. It's not a division of an asset like that. But yet it is a marital asset because this can translate into money. So one way that this can be resolved is if I do a cash out. If I can take that 100,000 points, turn in an $800, I get 400, my spouse receives 400. That seems reasonable. But what if the other side pitches a fit and says, oh no, I know that that's worth more if it just stays points? Well, if you cannot transfer points, then maybe you include that in equitable distribution. If my wife is to owe me $1,000 in a divorce, and I have the equivalent of $500 of points that are supposed to go to her, then maybe she would owe me 500 and we can do dollar for dollar that way through our equitable division. Alternatively, you can take those points, and by the way, this is not legal advice. I say it all the time. This is just put your thinking cap on, learn something about it. Try to make sure you understand the circumstances of your case. One thing you can consider doing is working with your spouse. What do you want? I will cash it out that way. Which gift cards do you want? Which bills should we pay that might be marital bills with this money to equalize things? If you think about these situations and you consider them reasonably and rationally, there's nothing to prevent you from doing this in a way that helps both of you and doesn't create any unnecessary infighting and any unnecessary feuds. If you understand, and most people should understand, that credit card points are not easy to get rid of, they're easy to spend, they're not easy to divide, then maybe you can think of some other solution and everybody walks away happy to the extent that anybody can be happy with equitable distribution because nobody's losing. You're just dividing it in the way that it's supposed to be divided. Thanks for listening, everyone.